If you're in the market for investment-worthy bags, watches, and fine jewelry, Rebag is the answer. Rebag is a luxury resale marketplace where each piece is carefully vetted and verified by experts to ensure quality and authenticity. If you're in the market, use Rebag to buy and sell finds from the world's top brands, including Hermes, Chanel, and Cartier. Head to Rebag.com to get 10% off your first purchase with code REBAG10. Shop today at Rebag.com. That's REBAG.com and use promo code REBAG10 for 10% off your first purchase.
Listen up. I won't sugarcoat it. This is the longest cold, flu, and allergy season we've ever seen, but we're not alone. We've got Instacart. Sure, you may be a coughing snot faucet who just wants mommy, but you're not giving up. Not when cold medicine, fragrant herbal teas, and honey shaped like bears can be delivered through Instacart in as fast as 30 minutes. Now let's go win the sick playoffs.
Daddy, I just want my soup.
Oh, sorry, Sport. App says it'll be here in a few minutes. Instacart for the win.
Welcome to the PowerCat Podcast, GoPowercat.com's Kansas State Athletics Show. Now, here's your host, GoPowercat publisher, Tim Fitzgerald.
Welcome to another week of The Insiders. The whole crew is here, including Tim Everson, who just lived a travel nightmare, but he made it back to join us. Tim Fitzgerald, Brien Hanley, the offensive lineman, Tim Everson from the Manhattan Mercury, Glenn Kinley from 7 TV stations in Topeka, and they only have like 4, 5. What's Topeka got? 5?
4. We got 3. 3 of the 4.
You 3 of the 4. 3 of the 4.
Guess
I'm going to start up.
CW.
Yeah. Everyone forgets that. I'm going to start my own KFTZ.
Okay.
Channel 69. Our entire signal is going to be, our promo is going to be nice. Hey guys, speaking of nice, Kansas State wins 38-21 in Lubbock. What a difference a week can make. For some reason, Brian, K-State fans are in a better mood this week. And I don't think it was just the win. It was a certain blonde-haired guy, not named Tim or Glenn. Avery Johnson was special. He really was, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He absolutely was. K-State fans have a reason to be excited, man. Mm-hmm. They absolutely have a reason to be excited. The guy came in, from all intents and purposes, didn't know how much he was actually going to play. Played a lot, played well. I don't want K-State fans to think that this is the 100% norm, that number one, that he's the starter next week. I'm sure we'll get into that. Number two, that everything is going to be sunshine and roses, because that's not how football works.
Nope.
But for this night, and that's all we're talking about, and that's literally all we care about, it was sunshine and roses. The guy played outstanding.
Yeah, it was impressive. Tim, you were there. What'd you think?
It was kind of crazy because he goes out there, scores on his first possession and first Big 12 possession of his career. And then all of us are just kind of like, all right, are they going to, yep, he's out there again. Oh, that one didn't go as well. Okay, Will's back. All right. Oh, no, here he is again for the second half. Oh, it's Avery. And then, 5 touchdowns later, here we are.
It was amazing. Glenn, thoughts?
Yeah, I'll sum it up for you guys. He's very fast. There you go. Yeah. No, he has the ability to. It's the cliche, but give him an inch, he'll take a mile. I mean, some of the gaps, specifically that 30-yard touchdown run that he had on third down, which was a huge conversion, let alone a touchdown. The gap wasn't that large. They gave him just a tiny space to run through, and he was in the end zone. Next thing you knew it, and it was like, oh my gosh, how did that happen? He's insanely fast. We've seen, even at like KU with the Jalen and Jason stuff this year, how difficult it is for a quarterback to go in and play when he doesn't know if he's going to play or how much he's going to play. I think the perfect example is Jason Bean really struggled against Texas when he didn't know he was going to play until the day of. Then you go to Oklahoma State, he threw 5 touchdowns this past Saturday. Avery didn't know how much he was going to play. He was just kind of out there. He probably didn't know if he was going into the next drive at any given moment. And when he got in there, oh my gosh, was he good. the moment was never too big. And it's like, keep in mind, this was a road game. So a Big 12 road environment, a night game, he got in there and he played like he owned the place. And quite frankly, by the end of the night, he did own the place.
Yeah. It's now the Sunshine AT&T Stadium in Lubbock. Let's play some Avery. Our Zach Carlson, of course, was on the field for this. I think these are in order. I'm not sure. They all look like a guy running faster than everyone else on the field. Here we go. Number one, TD number one. That's just a guy beating everyone to the corner, Brian. And that's, we see a lot of that from the K-State offense. So I don't think that one caught our attention. Yeah, he got in the end zone, but he just beat some guys to the corner, which honestly, that happens a lot in the way this offense is designed. Yeah.
I mean, nothing was up front and he just kind of made a move outside and just said, you know what? I'm faster than you. And I'm going to show you that I'm faster than you. And that's all that there was. Is just a great play. Nothing spectacular other than he's just faster than everybody out there, man.
Yeah. And we've mentioned how fast he is. I'm going to skip ahead. I think this is the long one here. Let's watch this. This shows how fast he is. Guys, he covered 30 yards in this highlight. Ready? Was it the 30 yards? I knew these weren't going to work out for me. Here we go.
Was 30. He is insanely fast.
Yeah. Here we go. Let's try this one. It's there. It's like, hey, and there's three of us on this panel who are skinny guys who can fit through these little holes and have great speed. And of course, Glenn's here too.
Not that fast anymore. I used to be.
But I guess Glenn and Tim, this is my next topic with Avery is the simple fact that, yeah, he's fast. We knew he was fast. Now, I was a little disappointed in Chris Kleiman that he told the TV guys he's the fastest guy on the team, but he's never told us that. He's just sharing secrets with those other people. And so we knew he was one of the fastest guys on the team anyhow. But he's also quick. Now, and he gets to that line and goes from, I'm just looking, boom. And he's got that quickness in that first step to make that decision. But he also, as Brien mentioned, he makes decisions as quickly. And one of these touchdowns, I don't think we can see it really well from the angle that we got. He sees a split and he makes that decision and makes that first step so fast that the linebacker coming over to try to fill that hole had no chance. I think that might have been the 30-yard run. And it was just impressive, Tim, how quickly and how decisively a true freshman on the road would make up decisions about whether to run it or to throw it. He just is very decisive in his decision-making.
It's next level for sure. I mean, you saw it running the ball. You also saw it passing the ball. I mean, he was 8 of 9. I mean, he wasn't asked to do too much, but still, he didn't, do anything crazy. I think his one incompletion was a throwaway. I think. No,
it was. It turns out it was Brooks. It was throwing a hair behind Brooks, and he probably should have caught it, but he dropped it. So,
but still, I mean, from the moment that he got in, and he looked at that way back when he came in versus Simo too. He looked in control. I mean, he looked comfortable. He didn't look. I remember myself as an 18-year-old. It was not as long ago as maybe a couple of us here, and trying to imagine.
Not that old.
I say, you call me old?
Glenn, I think we're about the same age, but not. But no, I'm trying to picture just kind of everything that goes into that. It's incredible. It really was incredible to watch.
Yeah,
Glenn, man. You can scheme for him, but he just seems to find that breach.
Yeah, and I was the first one to say last week, okay, when we were talking about should he get in, should he get some snaps, I said, hey, he looked phenomenal in week 1, but we were talking about Simo backups, right? Yep. And now he does it again on the road, Big 12 opponent. He's so fast, but like you said, it's also about, okay, where – yeah, he can get the lane and go, but where is that lane and finding it? And sometimes he's hesitating and he'll kind of wait, and then boom, there he is. And like I said, if they give him a hole to run through for even half a second, he's gone and he's beaten all the defenders. I think I'm just so impressed by his composure and just again the confidence that he went out there and played with. And here's the thing too, guys, this is not a situation where Tech didn't prepare for him, right? Texas Tech certainly knew the circumstances, knew that Will had a rough game the week before, knew that there was all sorts of conversation, knew that Chris Kleiman said in his press conference, no, we're not banking on a red shirt for Avery. So this is not like Tech said, holy crap, they got this quarterback who can run, and then they just like weren't ready to stop him. I'm sure they prepared for him. I'm sure they probably thought or knew even that he was going to get in the game. They maybe didn't know how much. It's not like they didn't know it was coming. They knew it was coming, and then they certainly knew it was coming after 3 touchdowns, and he still scored 2 more after that. It was just a matter of catch me if you can, and they couldn't.
Glenn, you just froze up in a great position. I tried to screenshot it, and I missed. Dang it. It was a great opportunity. Yeah, it was just unbelievable how good and fluid he was through the game. Here's his final touchdown. It's just the tiniest of hole there between 2 defenders, and he just kind of snakes through it. Impressive. Just all around impressive. He was the Big 12 newcomer of the week. I don't know how he wasn't that and the offensive player of the week. I didn't see who that was, but 5 touchdowns in the game is running touchdowns. Pretty good. Just tied Colin Klein. That's all. Brien Hanley, what do they do now? I mean, seriously, you've got this guy that is obviously electric. The team responded. That's another topic we need to talk about. The team tended to respond to him. But if you're Chris Kleiman and Colin Klein, what do? I suspect Will Howard will start. I suspect we'll see the same kind of mix and match for these 2 home games. But what would you do?
If it were me, I would get Avery as many reps as possible throwing the football down the field in practice and get him ready to play in a Big 12 game actually throwing the football. Because as good as he was running the football, a lot of his completions were just little swing passes and things. That's not sustainable. Let's just be honest. That's not sustainable to be able to win. The bottom line is you start Will. If Will plays fine, okay. I think Coach Kleiman what he did on Saturday night was right. Hey, we're going with the guy that gives us the best chance to win this football game. And it doesn't matter if it happens at the start of the game or in the middle of the first quarter or in the middle of the third quarter. Whoever gives us the best chance to win, that's who I'm going to put on the football field. And I would continue to do that because you can't take your senior out unless he's just absolutely garbage and killing you. You can't do that because you're going to kill your locker room. But kids know. They know. And they understand, man. If Will is playing just okay and Avery comes in and because it happened. You saw it. The first drive, it just is explosive. If that happens, they're like, look, we love you, Will, but we're trying to win this next game. I know a lot of people are saying preserve a red shirt. No. Avery Johnson's future isn't more important than the seniors right now. And we still have everything in front of us right now. We're trying to win as many games as possible. So go do that. Don't worry about that. Look, the way that NIL and the transfer portal and all that is, who knows what the roster is even going to look like next year, much less 3 years from now. Don't worry about that. Go win the next football game.
And Brian, by the way, if this guy is as good as he was on Saturday, 5 touchdowns, he's not going to be here to use that red shirt year. Forget about it, man. And I'm not saying we're getting ahead of ourselves there, but okay, so you save a red shirt and he plays 3 years. It's like, well, he could have played 2 more. It doesn't matter if he could have, right?
That's right.
And so if he's as good as we think he's going to be, forget about the red shirt. I get the impression the red shirt is not even a fact. I don't even think that.
It shouldn't be. That's right. That's right, Glenn. It shouldn't be.
Tim, I think they'll start Will Howard. I don't see why they wouldn't. He's your senior. He led you to a Big 12 championship. But I don't think we're going to see a game like Oklahoma State the rest of the year. There will definitely be how quickly can we get Avery on the field. And I really kind of think that the master plan might be to kind of shuttle him back and forth for a couple weeks, continue to expand Avery's skill base, put on the field, as Brian said. You got to practice it, but then he's got to put it on the field. And then at Texas, your best shot, let's be honest here, to beat the Texas Longhorns is to put that kid behind center and roll with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it was big that we were able to see Kleiman stick with Avery through the entirety of that second half and not waver from that. I think that coming in and just in general, he has a lot of loyalty to Will. Will's done a lot for this program. He deserves to have some kind of piece here, and it's it's a great position to be in, but it's also a very tough decision for Colin Klein and Chris Kleiman to figure out. Because I mean, you're literally benching the guy that won you a Big 12 championship. That's literally what we're talking about right now. But unless Will shows soon that he can kind of raise his level of play to kind of where it was last year when they were so successful, they got to do something else. And this is what's going to win games is Avery Johnson. It's not Will right now, unfortunately.
You're correct.
Well, here's my thing also, and I know, Tim, you said it's a difficult decision and maybe a difficult, heartfelt decision, but a football decision, I don't think it's hard. Just look to last year. You can't tell me, and any K-State fan can't tell me, if Will Howard starts against Texas, do we win that football game? And Adrian Martinez, I thought, played pretty good in that football game, but he made some mistakes that Will Howard's not making. And that's all I'm saying is that, yes, it's difficult for the heart, but as football decision, it's not that difficult, man. It's just not. And you got to look at it that way. And even though we're all human, and I get all of that, if it's your job and you're treating it like your job, you also owe it to the rest of the guys in that locker room. The rest of the guys in the locker room have to matter. They have to matter. And if they do, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
And Brian, I don't even look at it as much as about Will struggling, as much as just if Avery's that good, how do you possibly keep him off the field? I think you're right, Fitz. I think the next couple of weeks for sure we're going to see both of them and maybe go from there. Maybe we continue to see both of them if it works. And if we see more of Avery and we see more of his flaws when we get a larger sample size, maybe we start seeing him less and it's Will is really the go-to guy. And if Avery continues to do what he did on Saturday, we might see less of Will. I think that, quite frankly, the TCU defense might be bad enough that they can really experiment a little bit with him this upcoming weekend. But it's just a matter of, you could say, hey, Will is really good. He wants a Big 12 championship, and we don't think Will's bad. This is not us bailing on Will. This is us saying we cannot keep Avery Johnson off the field, because if he does what he did on Saturday, you'd be crazy not to have him out there for a whole lot of snaps. But again, we are still talking with a small sample size. His performance was incredible, but he completed 8 passes. So
correct.
Yeah,
we're still yet to see. But that being said, too, he made some, I would say 2 or 3 of his 8 passes were really impressive.
Yeah, the one across the middle to Jace Brown, that's a nice
I'll
throw.
take that.
Yeah. Very.
And his receiver went up and got the ball.
Yes, he did. Man, that was good to see.
Yeah,
you might see him on the field a little bit more.
Yep.
Yes.
A couple thoughts here. One, I hope the K-State fan base applauds the starting quarterback Saturday. I hope they don't get caught up into booing one of their own because they wanted the other guy to start. And I'm pretty sure Will start unless he's got an injury we don't know about, which I don't think he does. Will start this game, and I would hope we don't hear a bunch of boos because let's roll this clock back almost exactly 12 months when they played TCU in the same week of the season, and the starting quarterback went out there and got hurt, and Will Howard came in, and as you guys talked about, Brian discussed, it was him for most of the season until they tried to put Adrian back in when he's healthy and it didn't work. I think once they decide it's going to be Avery, it's going to be Avery. I think they learned a lesson from that. And but Will's got something to say about this. Will's a good quarterback. He's been slumping, and maybe this is what lights the fire under him. And Brian, you've been a player. I saw the team respond to Avery in a way they're not responding to Will this year, but it was the same way they responded to him last year.
Yep.
They kind of feel the vibe coming off a quarterback. This is the guy. This is the guy that's going to do it. This guy gives the extra thing. And last year it was Will completing passes all over the field. Will's a little bit gun shy right now, which, subtracts his strength of his game. He made some bad decisions. Now he's gun shy. And as long as Avery's this definitive as a quarterback, I don't know how the team wouldn't rally behind this. He made some huge plays.
He did. And that's going to be the key. Now, one factor that I see TCU, as Glenn mentioned, their defense is, they remind me of the 85 Bears. So what happens if Will comes out and just lights them up? Then what? Then what happens? Because it's so conflicting, because you got this guy that's been struggling. And again, let's just be honest, Will's been struggling. But if he comes out and he lights up TCU, is it okay? Well, were they just bad?
Right.
Is he good? Now, you can say that that's a good position to be in, but it's not. It's not the same old adage. If you got two quarterbacks, you don't have one. And that's the truth. You've got to settle on a guy just because, so your guys know. And like you said, somebody responds to somebody differently. I don't know. But I'll be honest. I almost hope that happens, because I don't want to see Will play bad. That's my thing. I don't want, because I'm a K-State fan. I love K-State, and I want to win. And if whoever's the quarterback, I just want to win. Yeah. And I think people sometimes get caught up in, well, I want Avery to be out there. I want Will to be out there. I don't care if it was a turtle out there. Just go win the football game, man. That's it.
Yeah. And what I'll tell you guys, what I don't want to see, quite frankly, is I don't want this to be every drive. You've seen this with quarterback battles before. Every drive is like a tryout to where Will feels like if I throw a pick here, I'm benched. And Avery feels like if I don't run for a touchdown here, I'm not getting the next drive. Yep. I mean, I'm not saying you can't go with the flow of the game. Obviously, if Avery comes in and he scores 4 touchdowns on 4 drives, he goes more in the second half. But I just don't want it to be, because that is not good for either quarterback, for them to feel that pressure of, I have to earn the next snap by making a play on this one. It's just not healthy. So I hope that doesn't become the case. But I think most K-State fans, Brien, are like you in that they love Will Howard, and they should love Will Howard, man. Correct. Because Will Howard loves Kansas State, and Avery Johnson loves Kansas State. And I don't want this to be – I've already seen some of the – Avery would do something, and somebody would say, Will wouldn't have made that play.
Correct.
And it's like, this doesn't have – they don't have to be pinned against each other. No one in the locker room wants that. I know that. I don't think that's how it is within the locker room. I don't think there's any – I plan to actually ask him if we talk to either quarterback tomorrow, but I know the answer already. I don't think there's any animosity. I don't think Will is upset at all. Maybe Will is annoyed if they keep putting Avery out there and Avery doesn't make the plays, but there's no way Will can be like, how could you do this? It's like, well, you saw how. I mean, look how good he was, you know?
Correct.
Yeah, nobody seemed more supportive, and that's exactly what everyone said. And then Will Howard. I mean, he's trying to help the kid.
That's awesome. It says a lot about him, too.
He's a high character guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Terrible, our producer, brings up a great question. Tim Everson, this isn't a real big kid. Avery filled out a lot since high school, but he's still 185 pounds. It helps him get through some of those gaps he's running through, but I'm just going to say it. I'm not going to accuse any one program of this, but I can see some guys trying to really lay a lick on him, maybe even after the end of a play to get him off the field. He's a little guy. Can he hold up in the Big 12?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I think time will tell. I think that he's in a position where he has a guy in Colin Klein who has certainly taken those hits before and maybe is in a better position than most to kind of instruct him how to make those less painful. But that is going to be a concern until, he gets a little more meat on him and a little more something. But you want the speed, you got the speed.
Yeah, no doubt about it. He did so much for this team. And I thought this was really an important part of his progression. He started reading the defense really well, and that led to Trayshawn Ward having a breakout game, more than 100 yards. He looked great. He's a perfect complement in the backfield because now you've got 2 really fast, shifty guys back there. But Trayshawn had a game, and here's some of his highlights. Nothing too explosive, but boy, that quarterback, that zone read, and Trayshawn, we saw him cut back once. The first highlight, I still don't know how he didn't go down. He got, pulled over, but he just stayed up on his feet. I wish I had that kind of balance on a day-to-day basis. Brien, that was the first time I said, That's the guy they recruited.
Yep. Yeah.
That's the guy they brought in from the portal. He looks special.
He looked special. He looked fresh. I guess he's healthy. You know, I know he sat out a week, and you know who knows how long it takes to get back. But he looked healthy. But the one thing that we haven't brought up, and maybe we were going to go to that later, is those highlights showed to me that offensive line. I've been the hardest guy in K-State history on this offensive line this year, and they deserved it. But you know what? They were moving people off the line of scrimmage on Saturday night. They were moving guys against their will. You saw it 3, 4, 5, 7 yards down the field. Mm-hmm. They're still latched on to guys. That's the offensive line I thought we were going to see all season long. They showed up on Saturday. Couldn't be more proud.
And Brien, might I add that offensive line, you think Hadley Panzler, Cooper Beebe, Ben Sinnott was eliminating guys. I mean, you saw it a couple of Avery's runs. Ben Sinnott was just running guys over. I don't know. It's almost like they were like, okay, here's the tight end. You know, they're like, thank goodness I don't have Beebe blocking me. And then Ben Sinnott was like, you're now one with the turf. It was just taking guys out there.
Yes. It just, you know, we've been beating them up. And they deserved it. They did. But you know what? They deserve all the praise as well.
Those really
guys came, and they were really good on Saturday. They beat up Tech. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just beat them up physically. We give it all the glamour to all the specialty guys, and they deserve it. Don't get me wrong. They deserve it. But the guys up front just manhandled them, man. They just manhandled them.
Which is what we thought we were going to get going into the season. And if that can continue – I mean, like I said, Avery Johnson doesn't need much. If they're even decent, which we expect them to be better than decent, but if they're decent, Avery's going to get through there.
There was a good Tech line too. That Tech defensive line was not, wimpy at all. I mean, that was an accomplishment.
Yes, Tim, you're exactly right.
Ben Sinnott turned into a hockey player again on that one touchdown. He blocked a guy over here, and then he kind of skated over here and nailed another guy. If he'd had a third guy, he would have gone to get him too, and then he would have gone to get Avery a sandwich because he was probably hungry after all that. Ben Sinnott's the best football player on this team.
Yeah,
I mean, he's special. He really is. I mean, that Cooper Beebe, of course, but Ben Sinnott as an all-around, it's amazing everything he does for this team. But Brien, you're right. The line seems to thrive when they got a guy going. When they get that guy going, they get going even more. We saw it with Giddens against UCF when they were just chewing them up. Of course, I think the four of us could have chewed up the UCF defense. Brien would have helped a lot with that. They got him going. You could feel the vibe. You just could feel the rhythm of the offense. And, you know, in that first possession with Avery, it's like, okay, we're going to go. We got a new rhythm here. We're going to pick it up. And I don't know why that's kind of stalled out with Will, because he did that last year. He had that rhythm, but they just don't have that vibe, Tim, and I can't quite pick up why.
Yeah, no, I don't know what it was either, but they were so locked in Saturday, so locked in, and it was so fun to watch. It was great.
Boy. Well, K-State is now 4-2 overall. That's correct, right? Then they're 2-1 in the conference, and they're coming home for TCU. We just found out it's at 11 a.m. kick. No, excuse me. This week's a 6 p.m. kick. Next week with Houston's 11 a.m. kick. Well, I can't keep track of things. It's just getting old. It's not working out for me. Finally a non-nighttime kick. Thank you, everyone, for making my wishes come true. But we'll see how the quarterback situation works out. We're going to move over to the defensive side of the ball here in a little bit, but we got to park that break here for all of our listeners on our podcast platforms. And, of course, for all the YouTube people that show up late and don't see it live, you know what you get as punishment? You get an ad.
GoPowercat.com's PowerCat podcast continues after this short break.
Picture this nightmare scenario. You're hosting friends for the big game. It's neck and neck in the fourth quarter, and suddenly you realize you're out of drinks. You start to sweat. Your friends start to turn on you. You're forced to go on a last-second drink run and end up missing the game-winning touchdown while in line. Terrifying, isn't it? Luckily, you can avoid the drama with Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. With Drizzly, you can shop a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits, then get them delivered right to your watch party. Compare prices across multiple stores in your area, find the best deals on game day drinks, and get back to armchair quarterbacking from, you guessed it, your armchair. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com today. Must be 21 plus, not available in all locations.
Welcome back to the PowerCat Podcast.
The defense, boys, the defense wasn't great in terms of stats. If you look at the yards, there was a lot of yardage given up, but they played really physically. That led to the injury of the Tech starting quarterback, and I think it was along the sideline. I think he took a hit to the back on us. I thought it was going to be a personal foul. I really did. I can't remember who did it. Maybe it was Austin Romaine. Really nailed him right as he was going out of bounds on his back. And I think that was it. He didn't come out for the second half. They put in their own true freshman. I like K-State's better. I don't know what it was. I think K-State's got a better true freshman quarterback. And he proceeded to throw 3 interceptions in 3 possessions in a row. And it's funny is the first one, it kind of felt like, okay, that was just one of those things. The next 2 drives, he got him further and further down the field, but he just kept throwing interceptions. Let's look at the 2 Kobe Savage ones real quick. And here we go. Kobe with the double interception day was named the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Kobe, why are you sliding? Why do I just slide?
Come on. I got to the house.
Come on, Kobe. Come on. Here's the second one. It was basically a fair catch in the end zone. Look, I don't understand what the receiver was doing. Go get that ball, man.
Almost like he didn't see it.
Yeah. And we should clarify, Kobe should have had 3, right? He dropped 1. And I believe it was called a pick, and then it got overturned. But
it was on the same drive.
On the same drive, yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you got the makeup. Now, with everything Avery did, with everything, all these highlights we've shown you, Trayshawn Ward and 2 interceptions for Kobe Savage, those weren't the highlights of the game. Zach Carlson caught exactly how incredible VJ Payne's interception was. Let's take a look at it. VJ, you got 2 hands, man. You don't have to do it so
it was
casually.
dope. Yeah.
Okay, here we go. He just let it slide in, like, here, just put it right there.
That's the best part is that he didn't just grab it one-handed, but he refused to touch it with the other hand.
Never touched it.
He caught it.
Never touched it.
Very slick.
That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I got it. You see receivers do one-handed
VJ Payne has a healthy left hand. Like, are we concerned about is Chris okay?
Just put it right here. Okay, I don't even have to use the other hand. It was amazing. A great performance by the defense. Brien, I feel like Austin remains settling in at middle linebacker. It felt like this whole game was good for everyone. It wasn't just that Avery Johnson was so special. I thought the special teams played harder. Seth Porter gets a gold star for just tackling. I mean, we got Ben Sinnott blocking everyone. Seth Porter on special teams tackling everyone. He's just, I'm going to tackle you and then you, and I'm going to get you the next time. And it was just like he was taking names. He was a hitman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
The whole team played better. The whole team upped their standard back to where they had been. That I left feeling really positive about as much as Avery's play.
Well, it was effort. It was just the effort, just what you mentioned. Because, again, special teams is mostly effort. It is. And it functioned or it filtered over into every other aspect. It just gave more effort. Had we given this type of effort against Oklahoma State, the game's not close. Let's just be honest. That game, we win, and that game is not close. We gave no effort against Oklahoma State. We just kind of rolled out there. They gave – and Tech is better than Oklahoma State. They are. I know they beat Kansas, and I get all of that. Tech is a better football team. And K-State went there and won a game, a tough game, where their starting quarterback didn't play great. We had to bring in our backup quarterback, which he played phenomenal. But the whole effort for everybody, that was what I was impressed with, is that it looked like everybody cared, and it showed on the field. On the field.
What it was, Brien, is the guys answered the call. I mean, what did Chris Kleiman talk about? Everyone's talking about special teams, and we talked about that Seth Porter had to be one of the guys to step up there because he's kind of He's a captain of the team, but he is specifically the captain of the special teams.
Yep.
And then what did Chris Kleiman talk about after that loss in Oklahoma State? Everyone was talking about K-State's turnovers. And he said, well, we didn't create any turnovers. He mentioned that again on Tuesday. I'm not in the locker room, but that was a huge point of emphasis from what I gather, is that they had to create turnovers. And then they got 3 picks and I believe 2 turnovers on downs. That was what the doctor ordered. And you can make the argument of, okay, well, a couple of those picks were right to them, but you got 3 picks. It doesn't matter how you get them. And so, yeah, they really answered the call in both special teams, Seth Porter, and then with the turnovers with Kobe Savage and other guys.
Well, I think some of that also can filter down because you're right. Some of those picks, they were lame ducks. They were just horrible throws. And the only bad side, I guess, that I saw, they got a lot of yards on us. Don't get me wrong. We didn't get really a pass rush with our front guys. So we weren't forcing the quarterback into bad throws. He was just making bad throws. But that can light a fire under the defensive line and say, hey, we got the guys on the back end. If we can just get pressure, the guys on the back end will take care of their job, man. So I think it was just I know this is a cliche now, a get-right game. Well, I really think it was a get-right game. I think it was.
Tim, one of the things that I was really impressed with, Joe Klanderman at the switch of quarterbacks said, you know what? All these guys up front are coming. They're all going to come after you. And all the guys in back are going to sit there in zone facing the quarterback. They've been playing a lot of man, which, you're running with receivers. It's hard to see the ball. You're less prone to make interceptions to, go find the ball. So they went to that zone defense. They just chewed them up. I thought it was a great adjustment on the defense with Joe Klanderman.
Yeah, I agree. And it was win-win. First, you get pressure on a quarterback who had never seen the field. And obviously that worked. He was rattled. And then also you, disrupt a pretty good, more than pretty good Tech run game that really had done some damage early in the game, but probably could have kept them at least closer if they had been able to run the ball a little bit in the second half. Yeah. Man, I'm sure Tech fans are so mad that they kept throwing the ball. They are so mad.
Why they didn't? Once you went to your third string quarterback, which he is, why they didn't say, okay, offensive line, it's time. Taj Brooks is going to carry the ball, and we're going to hammer this defense. We're big and bad. Let's go do it. I think the game is much more competitive. At the end of the day, Glenn, they just couldn't answer all the scoring from no matter what they were doing. But they could have kind of deflated K-State by staying on the field for long periods of time.
Well, it felt like it came down to K-State made adjustments and Texas Tech didn't, right? When that new quarterback got in there, like you said, I thought it was Joe Klanderman's one of his best coaching jobs that we've seen. He adjusted. They got turnovers, but there was a few plays where I was like, oh, they're bringing everybody. And they brought everybody. He adjusted, and it felt like Tech going into the game, their game plan was, okay, we're going to attack K-State's secondary, right? Secondary hasn't been great. And they might be banged up. We don't know about Will Lee, Jacob Parrish. We're going to attack K-State secondary. And they did that, but they should have adjusted once they had a new quarterback in there and once they saw that quarterback wasn't going to have any time to throw. And so it felt like K-State made a great adjustment. And I thought, yeah, that was impressive. And two, once those secondary guys make more plays, get those turnovers, okay, now the quarterback's not just going to be willing to chuck it deep immediately, which maybe does give that defensive line a second or two more to get home. Maybe we see more of that.
Well, boys, I'm fascinated to see what they bring against TCU as we kind of pivot now over to the Big 12 a little bit. And Tom Terrible brings up a really good point. They have a freshman quarterback that put on a show this last week against BYU. I keep saying this, and I also keep forgetting this. The Big 12, every week is self-contained. Every game is self-contained. It's all about matchups. What you did the week before really doesn't matter. Oklahoma State showed it a couple weeks ago against K-State. Now K-State bounced back. But we saw TCU just absolutely stink it up at Iowa State. And then they come home and hammer BYU. Destroyed BYU. And it was incredible to watch. And of course, Oklahoma State then also responded with that really good win against Kansas. I thought KU was going to win that thing, but Oklahoma State seems to be back on their feet. But what I'm saying here is we don't know what TCU is going to bring, but every week. You can't assume a damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. And Brien, they have to be ready for everything TCU has, but mostly that locker room has to come out with that mentality. We're going to win, and we're going to kick their butt. And I think they've kind of been lacking that at times.
Yep, absolutely. Physicality should rule the day every game from here on out. That is how K-State is going to win. I heard somebody describe K-State as winning ugly. I'm like, K-State doesn't win ugly, or they don't want to play ugly. We just want to play physical. And there's a huge difference between ugly and physical. I go, and that's the way we should play. When the strength of your team is your on offense, is your offensive line, that's what you play through. Play through that. And a guy's got to come out with the same type of mentality that they did against Tech. They're going to come out with that same mentality against TCU. Because let's just face it, TCU's defense is not very good. It just isn't. And they will give you whatever you want, but you got to take it. Because if you let them hang around and have some success, you know how that goes, then they will get fired up. And we just don't need those kind of problems. We just don't. We don't need those kind of problems. Go win the football game. I'm not saying the game's going to be a blowout by any means. But what I am saying is K-State should win the game, and they should be the more physical team and take it to TCU on both sides of the football.
Tim, when TCU joined the conference with Gary Patterson, the K-State graduate as coach, I felt like there was a little rivalry building, and it seemed to kind of go away, maybe because TCU kind of fell off a little bit. But based on last year, is there a rivalry really brewing now between K-State and TCU?
I don't particularly think the players that are returning from last year and this year like each other on this team. I think that there were definitely words said down in Fort Worth. There were obviously large celebrations had in Arlington last December. Between the fans, I don't know. I mean, I think that there's definitely probably going to be TCU fans who really want this one just to kind of have some cooling ointment on losing the Big 12 championship game. But I don't know rivalry. I don't know.
As a guy that's my age, I appreciate the use of the phrase cooling ointment. I often need that. TCU, Glenn, they're hard to figure out, but they got talent, obviously. They got a good coach, obviously. Last year, they had a really special quarterback that elevated everyone on the field. That sounds familiar. And I think we're going to see TCU come out and give K-State everything it can handle.
Yeah, this is a big game for them because one, they need the win. Like they're desperate for it. I know they won last week, but like they're not in a place to be taking any more Big 12 losses. Neither is K-State for that matter. But also, like Tim mentioned, because of the Big 12 championship game last year, it is kind of a revenge game, if you will. I know a lot of the guys aren't there. Deuce isn't there, Felix isn't there, Max Duggan isn't there, but a lot of these guys did play in that game, right? Kobe Savage played in those games, and Will Howard obviously played in those games. So these guys haven't completely forgotten about those games. And I think the Oklahoma State loss, I'm stating the obvious here, but K-State learned from that you can't overlook anyone. So I fully expect K-State to go into this. I'm not saying they overlooked Oklahoma State. I'm really not. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But if they did, they won't do that this weekend. And because, like you said, TCU is very talented. They haven't put the pieces together, but they're very talented. And especially after what their quarterback did last week, which was the question that we got, that the defense knows that we're going to have to get some stops, right? And so that's going to be the challenging part. I expect K-State to score, but it's a matter of can they get those stops. And to answer the question that we got, maybe they do bring more pressure to rattle him. I expect them probably to do that early, and then if it doesn't work, obviously you adjust. And we found out that Joe Klanderman can adjust, mid-game to whatever happens. So maybe they bring pressure early and try to rattle him, and then if that comes back to bite them and they give a big play or two, then maybe they cut back a little bit.
One more K-State topic, Brien. We have mentioned special teams, but Jack Bloomer kicked the crap out of the ball. Great punting. We saw Chris Tennant drill a field goal, which, if you can get that out of the way early in the game and then score 5 more touchdowns, that's got to help his confidence. The coverage units were so much better. I thought we saw some signs of hope from special teams that they're going to kind of return to their normal status.
Oh, they were listening to us. That's what it was. They were listening to us. Get after them because, like we've mentioned several times. I mean, the special teams has been lacking. Not lacking. It's been awful, and it was not against Tech. And look, it takes everybody. It just takes everybody. It takes all three phases to win, man. It just does. And it seemed like special teams was just an area that we just weren't taking serious anymore. Like I said, there was nothing more embarrassing than at Oklahoma State where fair catching kickoffs. I thought, what has this world come to? Man, this is a bad look. Well,
blocking on returns is still a question.
Yeah, I mean, we nothing. We did nothing. Not even trying. And now it looks like they took it to heart. And good for them. Good for them, man.
And the week changed a lot because last week we were talking about K-State was strong on special teams, and I was hyping up our boy Sean Snyder because KU had the punt return, and then KU missed 2 PATs on Saturday, and K-State all of a sudden looks good on special teams. I don't know what happened. I don't know what changed in the week on special teams for either program, but this is what K-State fans are used to, I suppose.
It was funny, Brian. You joked about the fact, well, they were listening to us, but actually in post game, Seth Porter, when he was talking to us, said that he had heard the dissatisfaction from fans about kind of the level of special teams. And he said that earlier in the week, he got emotional when talking to the other guys on his unit. He knows how important it is for this program, and it looked like hurting him that he was part of, the struggle of that. And I know that he's, his dad played for K-State. I mean, he's good, ingrained into the fabric and into the culture of K-State football. And he seemed very relieved and happy that they took a step in the right direction there.
Well,
Phillip Brooks, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, just going back to when K-State, I mean, I shouldn't say the heyday or anything because I'm not that guy back in my day, but when K-State was really, really good, because they had this much talent as everybody else. What set them over to the top was special teams. Our special teams was better than everybody. And even when we didn't have as much talent, our special teams allowed us to be as good as other teams. It was just that way. What made us really special, and I will brag on our 98 team, is because we had the best special teams in the country. Period, point blank, no ifs, ands, or buts. We had the best special teams, all units in the entire country. And when you have that to go with the talent, then you're going to have a really special football team. Now, I don't know if this team is as talented as that. Maybe it is. But either way, if you can put forth the effort and get that back, that's only going to add to how good this team can be. We just have to win. We just have to win on special teams. Brian, and I'm sorry, Fitz, for cutting you off.
That's all right. I got 2 thoughts now. You gave me something else to make fun of you about. You realize that in 25 years, one former K-State football player will be sitting in a similar situation in 2048. Talking about in my day, 25 years ago. How the hell did that become 25 years ago? I don't know. Plus, Phillip Brooks caught a punt, tried to return it, and I don't know if he's a historian at all, but I kind of thought, oh crap, this is what Custer felt like. I mean, he was just surrounded. Nobody got blocked. No. It was just like, oh no, this was a bad decision. I shouldn't have done this. But they're going to have to tighten that up. But it was a positive sign that, and I appreciate Seth Porter's commitment to the cause because he's a great kid. And
we got to get more specific next time. We need him to say, we actually were motivated because at Big B _sports talk on the Insiders actually called me out last week. We can't just be saying we saw the noise. We got to call people out.
Right. We need our NIL. We need some love.
We do.
We need some love. Tim Everson, is Kansas State now with the quarterback situation with Kansas, which is, kind of hovering over them, unfortunately. Is K-State the only legitimate disruptor left to try to prevent that Texas-Oklahoma Big 12 championship?
It certainly seems like it. I think that, Oklahoma State kind of dug themselves into too deep of a hole. Iowa State's looking interesting, but I don't know if they have the juice. They may have just kind of gotten a run of some teams that are not good. And then really, am I forgetting someone?
West Virginia.
West Virginia.
Absolutely.
West Virginia.
That ending, man.
If they're able to bounce back from that, because I think they had something going there.
Yeah,
They did.
Okay, I want to point out that everyone we're talking about has that quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a big Garrett Green fan. I think that kid is a warrior. Is he a great quarterback? Not always, but he's going to put it all out on the field. Now, Iowa State has a young quarterback who's getting it done. As Tom said, TCU's got a guy going. K-State's got Avery. We're almost seeing it. I think it was you last week, Brian, said this conference isn't good because the quarterback play isn't good.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing some different quarterbacks, and teams are beginning to emerge because they're playing younger quarterbacks. I can't wrap my mind around why Matt Campbell needed what happened to change quarterbacks. We kind of knew he wasn't a good quarterback. We didn't know he had a gambling habit, but we knew he wasn't a good quarterback. And it's amazing what a switch of quarterbacks did for Iowa State.
Well, I mean, look, it's like you said, you can't win with mediocre quarterback play in Power 5 football. You're just not going to do that. And sometimes, I don't know, we saw it last year at TCU. I mean, they picked the wrong guy. And turns out an unfortunate injury, and they get all the way to the national championship game with good gutsy. And I would call Duggan more of a gutsy better than just a great quarterback. You can win like that in college football. That's the way that it goes, man. You don't have to be Joe Montana out there. Now it doesn't hurt, but you don't have to be that guy, man. You don't have to. You just have to be competent, know what you're doing, and be able to rally your guys. That's what it requires at Power 5 football. Competent, know what you're doing, have some ability, I guess. Got to have a little bit of ability, but more importantly, be able to rally your guys to get them to believe that you are the guy.
Is this a record low this year for starting quarterbacks that were also the starting quarterbacks in the Big 12 last year? I don't know how many teams right now, or even say, within the last few weeks, have the same starter at quarterback in the Big 12 that they did last year. Very few, especially if you count Kansas and consider that it's kind of Jason Bean now. Mm-hmm. You could even say K-State they had Adrian last year, and now it's either Will or Avery. It's Oklahoma State, crazy. The Bowman kid's finding some steam. So who knows, man? But Brian, it's wild.
Brian, the best thing about the TCU quarterback situation is he went back to Chandler Morris. He picked him last year, it didn't work, and he went back to him and it wasn't working. And then he got hurt. Now he's tripped into a better quarterback.
Yes.
I want to say Sonny Dykes is a great coach, but come on, man.
I mean, how many times you get to pick the wrong guy? I mean, usually now him getting to a national title game, I'm guessing bought him some leeway, but bottom line, how many times does a head coach get to pick the wrong guy and you struggle? And then all of a sudden, I mean, it's just crazy how that has worked out. But, I don't know. It's just, to me, it's not rocket science, man. You can figure this stuff out in the off season. You really, really can. Put the guys through the ringer and whoever comes out, let them come out. It just doesn't seem like that always happens. It's a transfer portal guy and you brought him in to start and blah, 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 blah. I don't know. It's baffling to me that people can't find the competent guy immediately.
If you want to be great, go back up Chandler Morris. That's what we're learning.
Exactly. I mean, I'm kind of I understand this whole situation though. My wife knows very well you got to pick the right guy. And if you don't, there's long-term impact. I am the Chandler Morris of husbands.
The consequences are brutal. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. So poor woman.
Decades of struggle.
Okay, Tim, we're going to talk about the most important thing as we close up shop that we've discussed today by far, and it's not Taylor Swift, but it's in kind of the same who cares genre that everyone's talking about. How do you feel about the nickname Sunshine? I did the origin story of Sunshine today on my daily delivery. That's from Remember the Titans and that quarterback, and there's a lot there. And but do you like the nickname Sunshine for Avery Johnson?
I like it if it seems like that's that's the general consensus here. I think that if Avery likes it, if Avery's getting a swag off of it, if he's cool with it, I'm cool with it. I think that it's appropriate. I think it's mostly, I mean, I know that it's not like super 100% unique, but you don't see it that often.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do like it. I want to see. I'm waiting for more information.
Maybe we might get players tomorrow talking about it.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
that's good.
I think it needs to be, because first of all, let's just be real, guys. I would bet a minimum of 50% of the guys haven't even seen the movie, because that movie came out before they were even thought about being born.
2000.
Remember the Titans?
Yeah. So those guys weren't born.
I think
they weren't born. I don't know, man.
It's a classic, man.
No, don't get me wrong. I love it. I think the movie is great. I'm just saying, I would bet 50% of those guys.
Oh, I hope not. That would make me sad.
I think it needs to be a team movie that they need to gather and everybody watch the movie together. Everybody rally around the name Sunshine, and that's what he goes by, and it sticks. I think it is awesome. I think it's awesome.
K-State movie night in Veneer.
You don't think Chris Kleiman is threatening to break something off in the kids' John Brown hind parts? You know,
hey, I love it. I love it.
This is a reference I don't get because I haven't seen the whole movie.
Oh, come on.
I know.
It's on Disney Plus. Just make it.
Is it really? Okay, that's good to know.
Oh my gosh, that's terrible.
That's my Friday project after I'm done with everything else, or maybe even Saturday morning. I don't know. I'm going to watch the whole thing. I realized why I have never watched it, because we started our company in 98, and there's a good 3 years where it was kind of an eclipse of everything but work. You know, it's like we just worked, and I think I missed out on Remember the Titans. I've seen parts of it, but I knew what Sunshine was. I knew that much.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, finally, can I get the nickname Moonlight?
Absolutely.
Probably a good nickname for me because my shiny.
I don't think anyone will fight you for that one.
No. That's going to do it for this week's Insiders. Congratulations, Tim Everson, on your plane, trains, and automobiles experience going to and getting back from Lubbock.
Woo!
Everyone who drove was much more efficient than the guy that flew.
Well.
Gotta love flying. Glenn Kinley, go out there and crush it on one of your many stations.
Thank you.
I don't know why you have so many stations. And Brien Hanley, make sure you go check him out. It's Big B Daily, right?
Yes, sir.
Go check him out. Go subscribe to his channel. Start watching Big B. He does it every day right here on the YouTube machine. And for the whole crew, I'm Fitz, and we are out.
Thank you for listening to the PowerCat Podcast. Make sure you're subscribing to our show at Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or wherever you get your podcasts.
With Blue Link Plus, you can access your Hyundai Tucson Limited remotely. Doors unlocked, temperature set, lost car found.
There it is.
Get complimentary class-leading Blue Link Plus. Call 562-314-4603 for complete details.
This Saturday, it's an outstanding top 25 men's college basketball matchup on CBS when 7th-ranked Kansas goes on the road to take on number 23 Iowa State. We'll get your day started at 1 p.m. Eastern with Inside College Basketball, a full afternoon of college hoops Saturday on CBS and streaming on Paramount+.